Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth with HurricaneTrack.com here. Time for the hurricane outlook and discussion for Saturday now, the 25th of June, 2022. We'll take a look at 94L and several other things that are going on out across the tropics today. All right, let's get on with it, shall we? First, National Hurricane Center, the two-day outlook. We do have 94L out here. 30% chances of development over the next 48 hours, 60% in the longer term out to 120 hours. But if we expand things, well, there you go. There's the 5-day area of potential development and the formation chance of 60%. And then we've got this area up here in the northwest Gulf of Mexico where we could have some development from maybe disturbance that works its way off the continent here and eventually makes its way back towards the Texas coast with some kind of energy. We'll see how that works out. In the eastern Pacific, we still have Celia, which is weakening and feeling the effects of that colder water out there. And then another system, now up to 30%. Man, this might try to develop a little bit more than we were thinking. And while not shown right now, I think we're going to get another area that develops out here. Just this entire area going to stay generally favorable for the foreseeable future. So we'll just deal with it as we can. All right, satellite imagery this afternoon. What do we got out there? Well, here is a disturbance. There's 94L. There's another one. There's another one coming off Africa. Got this little area up here still trying to hang on well to the southeast of Bermuda. No threat to anybody except any boats that might be passing nearby. Some deeper convection in the southwest Caribbean. Another area of clouds and thunderstorms in the southeastern Pacific. And there is Celia. And that's about it in terms of the tropics, which I would say, and I think you would agree with me, it's pretty busy for late June. We don't have a named storm, but that's a lot of activity. That's a lot different than there's a lot of Saharan air, everything's just dry, and there's no development chances going on into July. That's not the case. Instead, we're talking about all of these features, and we'll have to watch each one of these to see what happens. You know, it's a little busier than I think we thought it would be this early. Or maybe not. Maybe this is exactly what we expected would happen, considering the background state is so favorable. So there's the vorticity of that one area, well to the south and east of Bermuda, which is right there. There's one disturbance and its vorticity signature. That's 94L right there. So let's just put a 94, if I can draw that in right there. And then there's yet another disturbance back there, as I showed you on the satellite. This is also a satellite product, but it's looking at vorticity, the spin in the atmosphere. That would be Celia right there. So we'll put a C there. And then a disturbance there and a disturbance there. So there's more activity down in the deep tropics, some activity up here in the mid-latitudes, but they're getting higher and higher up in latitude. All the energy is starting to spread more and more to the north as the deep tropics down here get busier and busier. And we'll see that continue on into July and especially August and September. A big part of why things are busy right now, and we're even watching these systems. Look at this, and I'll look at it again on Monday with you in more detail. But the entire main development region through here is significantly warmer than average. And it doesn't have to be 4, 5, 6 degrees to be significant. Even a degree or 2 Celsius is significant in that area. And also, very, very important right here, the subtropics, cooler than average. That is a classic setup that focuses the instability down into the deep tropics. You're not competing for rising motion and whatnot. It's all focused down in the deep tropics in that area that I drew. And we're going to have a very busy time of it from here on out. No doubt about it. And look at the Gulf. Man, that is so much warmer than it should be. In fact, if we look at the actual sea surface temperatures, you know, especially if you're down there from Tampa Bay all the way over to the Texas coastline here, 30 Celsius plus. There's 31 up in the Big Bend. I mean, how do you even enjoy that? You jump in the water and there's not much difference between it and the ambient air temperature. 31 Celsius all through here, and then 32 Celsius in some cases tucked in and around the shallow areas around Louisiana. Now, the good thing about this in one regard is any kind of disturbance that moves through will mix this out pretty quickly, and we can bring these back down, these sea surface temperatures, to a more reasonable level. But this is really something else. And so if we do get a disturbance that tries to develop in this area, it's going to have plenty of fuel and very, very high precipitable water values. So the potential for some extremely heavy rainfall could exist for some area of Texas down here, even spreading inland, which could be a good thing as long as it's not too much. We got to watch for that. You know, like we say, be careful what you wish for. All right, so speaking of precipitable water, there's one system, there's the other, and there's another. All of the deep tropics down here. No Saharan air injecting its presence into that region. There's a little bit more trying to build off right off of Africa right now. And we will have breaks. It's not going to be this busy all the time. There will be periods of time where activity is suppressed, but not right now. That is for sure. Plenty of available moisture out there. So, what are the models seeing? Well, let's just take a look at the Euro real quick. And this is that more upgraded Euro product that Dr. Levi Cowan added to the Tropical Tidbit site, where it's every 3 hours. This is the same level of the atmosphere as this, the 850 millibar level, about 5,000 feet up, and that spin or energy in the atmosphere, that's what we're looking for. So this is an analysis right here, and this is the GFS, the Euro. It's 850 millibar forecast, you know, the numeric output of what that model is quote-unquote thinking. So a couple things to set things up for you. Big old area of high pressure dominating a good deal of the Atlantic. Literally a dome or a mountain of air. Very thick high pressure. There's 94L. That's the main feature to keep an eye on. And then we will watch right over here to see if anything shows up where the vorticity gets concentrated over the next few days. So let's put this into motion and we'll just watch how things evolve. This is 48 hours right there. And the Euro thinking, okay, maybe well east of the Windward Islands. 94L right here starts to get a little bit more energized. Anything up in the Gulf? Yeah, a little bit of an impulse there. Now, these systems that come off land are smaller, and this is not a mesoscale model. This is a big global model. The resolution is not going to see these small homebrew features as well. So just because it's not showing up very well in the global models, don't think, oh, it's just being hyped up, all you people wanting hurricanes out there. That's not the case at all. You think about Imelda, you think about Umberto, that was 2007, Umberto was, Imelda 2019. I'm telling you, these small systems, sometimes they sort of fall through the cracks and you don't see them as well in the global models. So just keep that in mind, all right? All right, so moving on out further into time, there's 72 hours there. Now, this is interesting. Let's switch it over to the Western Atlantic domain. Very nice. I love it how you can navigate through this. Excellent work there by Dr. Cowan. And it's awesome to call him Dr. Levi Cowan. He certainly has earned it. So here we go. You folks in the Windward Islands, down here, all right? There it is. The Euro really starting to amplify this out a little bit here by 72 hours. That is the signature. Just looking at this alone would tell me we might even have a tropical storm at that point. Maybe. You know, we can get into the details of it, but I want to try to keep this fairly brief. That is an interesting signal. It's not as strong on the GFS. Other models are, you know, we could look at models for an hour, but we don't have an hour. But the Euro has been pretty consistent and persistent on showing this run after run that this system tries to get together. And one thing that leads some credit or lends some credibility to it is the fact that look at it right now. Now it's nice and round. It's not feeble, and you know, like this is pretty weak right here. That's pretty pronounced. And the Euro is taking that and turning it into this. So again, that's 72 hours. Let's keep moving it out to 96. It begins to move through the islands near 84, just north of Trinidad and Tobago. So some gusty winds, squally conditions in the windwards, the whole of the windwards. Don't worry about any particular center. Where's the center going to go? Do you think it is going to pass near me? What do you mean by it? The entire weather envelope? Yes, I do. Seriously, you know, when you think about it, don't think about the center, especially when you got a hurricane. It's the whole weather feature, and that big old area of yellow and orange, that's all the sensible weather that you can feel. That's spin and thunderstorms and gusty winds. You know, I know what I'm looking at here, and that coming through there will cause some issues and some flooding rain. So you guys be ready for that down there, all right? That's about anywhere from 80 to 90 hours out, it does appear. So moving on from there, 96 hours, it goes into the Caribbean. So finally, it starts to intensify a little more, and then it makes landfall, according to the Euro, in a little under a week, somewhere in Nicaragua. Now, this could change. We know that. That's a week out. But I'm telling you, the high pressure is such over the western Atlantic and the southern parts of North America, there's very little chance that this starts to turn north and get into the Gulf. That's not to say it can't happen, but it doesn't look like it will happen at this point. So our focus will generally be for Central America as this rolls through. Now, let's go back. You also notice the Euro does try to make something of this area right through here, but not much to speak of. So we'll see, do the mesoscale models, once we get something to develop out here, and I believe we will, then they start running, they being the Hurricane Center, the high resolution models, we might start to see more of something that we can hang our hat on in terms of what to be ready for. But you guys over here, seriously, along the Texas coast, let's just use red, all along through here, be ready. A quick fuse, rapidly developing system over that very warm water wouldn't surprise me. Rain, storm surge, it could happen. It could happen. A windy day there, especially sometime Wednesday possibly. And I'll stay on top of it as time progresses, all right? So real quick look here at the track guidance. These are the various models. You have the consensus models here, and then there's your HMON and your HWRF. They are running those, and the various and sundry global models, their means, and so forth and so on. The simpler, you can run some of these models on an old Coleco. I don't know where that came from, or an Atom. You remember that? I think that was from the same company. But no, these models, I'm just joking. But the bottom line, let's get away from jokes. It is a pretty tight envelope. That's what I wanted to point out. All right, seriously, look, that's not a big spread at day 3 plus. And the same is true at day 5 out here. Not a big spread. So generally, right through the windwards here, that's the area that will receive the first of the impacts. So as I said earlier, you guys be ready for that. You do need to take this seriously. If you live down there. But look, if you're brand new to the area or you're vacationing down there, finally, you got a boat you're trying to finally get out, you got to watch this system. These tropical waves, as they develop, they can bring some gusty winds down to the surface very efficiently. A lot of lightning and thunder from time to time, and the possibility of flooding rain, especially these islands down there are not flat. All right, they have mountains. Some of them are volcanic in nature, so yes, they are mountainous, and you can get some mudslides and flash floods. So this is something we'll take seriously. It doesn't have to be a full-on hurricane to cause problems. You know that by now. Just reminding you. All right. I also want to remind you that each morning, I've got 25 done in a row. I'm proud of that. What's up in the tropics? It's a morning briefing at what I'm looking at for the rest of the day. I will continue doing that, hopefully every day until November 30th, and eventually they will literally be 90 seconds long, if that. But for now, they're about 3 minutes, plus or minus, because we got a lot to talk about, and then that will be followed by the more in-depth, this right here, hurricane outlook and discussion. All right? So I'll do that in the morning. The next What's Up, that'll be tomorrow morning, and then we'll talk about everything in more detail tomorrow afternoon. Until then, have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks, as always, for giving me a part of your day. I appreciate it. Don't forget on YouTube there, like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever. All of the above. Punch that notification bell real hard right in the jaw for me so you'll get notified. If you like what I do, it'll tell you. YouTube will tell you, hey, Mark posted a video, but you got to punch the bell. That's what they tell me. And so, hey, I learned that from my kids and the stuff they watch. But yeah, if you want to know, hit the bell and you'll know when I post something. All right, have a good rest of your afternoon. I'm Mark Sudduth. Again, thanks for watching. We'll start all over again in the morning.